Danganronpa has had many minigames throughout its trials. We've had skateboarding, rhythm games, debate games, and one minigame that's present throughout all the games is Hangman's Gambit. Today we're going to talk about the different iterations of Hangman's Gambit and analyze the design choices. We're going to look at what changes were made from version to version, and look at why some design choices of the minigame may have changed. Then at the end, I'm going to explain what I think the ideal Hangman's Gambit would look like. So first we got the DR1 version of Hangman's Gambit, and it's a simple concept. They'll give you a few letters, and then you have to spell out the rest of the word using letters that appear on the screen. In order to add some sort of extra challenge, you have to hit the letters multiple times, and the letters move around, so you have to make sure you hit the right letters. These are fine, I guess. They don't break the game in any way, but I feel like the obstacles don't do much. It can make you accidentally hit another letter that you didn't want to, but I don't feel like that occurs a lot. I believe this is why DR2 changed up the mechanics. DR1's mechanics aren't very action oriented. The challenge comes from figuring out the word, and once you figure it out, you're basically done with the minigame. This is why DR2 went for something more action based. In DR2's Hangman's Gambit, you have to combine two of the same letters and then input them into the answer box. Not only that, if different letters touch each other, they'll crash and you'll lose health points. It's not as simple as it sounds. There's a lot of strategy that goes into this game. You have to get rid of letters in the right order, you have to be careful when you use the speed up button, and if you don't know the word, get ready because you're gonna have to deal with the letters flying on the screen as you try to guess the word. The fan reaction to this minigame seems to be very negative. A lot of people find this version of Hangman's Gambit to be very annoying and intrusive. I disagree. Yes, the minigame is slow in some of the early trials, but I think that's a good thing just because you have to get used to the minigame. If anything's a problem about this minigame, I think it's how the game explains it. But that's a common problem with most of the minigames in the series, since they give you a very long and drawn out explanation on how to play the game. It gets very confusing, and that's where the troubles lie. The minigame itself is honestly fine. I really like this minigame because it doesn't feel very drawn out. In most cases, the letters come at an appropriate speed, and it doesn't take long at all. There's a lot of strategy, which makes for some good action, and it doesn't take too long to get back to the actual case. Where this version runs into more problems is at the end. Some of the Hangman puzzles have this problem where two letters will crash into each other before you can even do anything. Like the game will start and boom, there goes your health. There's also an infamous section of this minigame that I complained about. There's this one Hangman's Gambit in chapter 5 that makes the letters go at this insanely fast speed while you have to spell something really long. And I still think it's awful because frankly, it's unfair. That being said, I give this section a pass. Why, you may ask? Well, it's a localization problem. In the Japanese version, the word is very short, and that's why the letters crash at this insane speed. Here, see it for yourselves. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's why that one Hangman's Gambit is problematic. The only possible solution I can think for fixing this is using an abbreviation for cause of death. So make it that you have to spell out COD. Maybe make it so that Hajime says we have to find the abbreviation for the word in blue text. And then yeah, the speed would be fair. I remember the DR1 fan translation using DID as an abbreviation, so it's a possible fix. But I'm not sure. Maybe there was some sort of limitation that prevented that from being a possible option. So who knows, the fix might have not worked. And finally, we have the V3 version. This version goes back to being a more simple Hangman's Gambit. The letters are dark, so you can't see them, but there will be a flash of light that will occasionally reveal the letters to you. You can also focus to make a light shine from the middle, which makes things a lot easier. This goes back to DR1's issue, where the additional mechanics don't really do a lot for the game. The letters being darkened is an extra obstacle, but it's not a huge obstacle. Getting a letter wrong because of the darkness is not common unless you're trying to pull off a huge play where you memorize many letters in advance. That being said, the mechanics aren't broken in any way, which is good. The common problem with this version of Hangman's Gambit is actually guessing the word. In DR1, you have some letters filled in for you, so you can use more deduction instead of guesswork as to what that word is. In DR2, they remove all letters, so you have to fill in the entire answer, but I think it does a good job with its answer choices. None of the answers struck me as odd, with maybe the only challenging one being bamboo sword. They all seem to be things that you could guess. However, in V3, it really feels like you have to guess what the developers are thinking at some points. The main ones that stick out to me are the ones in Chapter 2 and 3. In Chapter 2, one of the answers is ropeway, which is a very uncommon word. And Chapter 3 has the legendary seesaw effect, which is just a crazy way to say what's happening. It's not all that intuitive, so it feels like you just have to guess. I do think V3 would have benefited from giving us 1 or 2 letters before we fill in the entire word. But again, that brings us to issues with localization. Perhaps the words in the Japanese version of V3 were straightforward for the audience, and maybe they didn't involve any guesswork at all. Maybe it's just some of the English words that are messed up. Localization could possibly be the cause of that one horrible word choice. I don't know why schizo was chosen as the word in this translation, but it's the worst word choice in the entire series. So what is my ideal Hangman's Gambit using these 3 versions? Well, for me, I think the ideal Hangman's Gambit would be the DR2 version that's done in a way where there are no instant collisions and there's no localization problems that lead to speed issues. I honestly think the DR2 version is well done as an action minigame. As I said before, it doesn't waste a lot of time compared to some of the other minigames out there. If you know the word, it feels like you're out of the game pretty quickly, which is good, because you can progress with the trial. If you don't know the word, then it leads to some pretty hectic and fun gameplay. Maybe the addition of 1 or 2 letters that are given beforehand may be nice, just in case we run into the issue of having to guess what the developers are thinking. That being said, if the word choices are good, no letters added is also a good option, so maybe they can do a mix of both. Some words can have no letters to start with, and some words can start with a few letters. But I know a lot of people don't like that version, so if I were to give a version that I think would be ideal for the fan base, I'd say take the V3 version with one major change. I honestly think I would remove the focus aspect, like when you can focus to make light appear. Instead, I think it should be a memory focused game. So when the light appears, you have to memorize letters in advance if you want to complete the minigame faster and earn more points. Obviously, for this to work, the light has to appear at a good frequency. The minigame could lose impact if the light appears too quickly, and it could be really frustrating if the light takes very long to appear again. A good strict time limit would also add to the intensity of the game. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to say about Hangman's Gambit. Do you guys want to see this minigame return? Do you guys just think Hangman's Gambit sucks, and it shouldn't have been in DR in the first place? Do you guys think it has potential to improve? Or do you guys think that one of the versions we already had was good enough? Tell me in the comments below. And yeah, that's about it.